Hey gang, Joyce with Skipping Cast Farms. I trust you're having a great day. It's cold and dreary here in southeastern Tennessee, and it looks like we may not see the sun or above 50 degrees for a couple of weeks. That's a little hard for a beach bum to take, but you know, you do what you can with what you got, right? So, I wanted to let you know kind of something I'm doing here right now this morning. Started a little bit. I still have not gotten my sheep back. I'm anticipating getting them here in the next little bit. So as you look across my pasture, you can see there's a lot of tall, dead, stemmy grasses. Now, this is broom's hedge. That ain't good for nothing, except maybe real early in the spring when it's real tender. It is indicative of poor soil, low calcium, low phosphorus, and low oxygen / compaction. And many of these are broom's hedge. Not all of them. Some of them are other warm season grasses. These are all another warm season grass, and I've forgotten what it is. I apologize. I guess the name doesn't matter. They eat it. The broom sedge, they won't. So here I am, the beginning of December, and you're looking at all this tall stemmy stuff, and you're wondering, you're weed eating in December just before you're bringing your sheep back? What kind of noise is that? Well, let me explain. Late summer, early fall is the driest time of year for us. Right now we are in the rainy season. My primary livestock on my property is the soil bioecology. The biome in the soil is my main focus. I should have more life in the soil than I have above it in terms of biomass. So had I gone through and weed-eated all of this real short in August, what would be the benefit? Well, it'd look nice. Be a little easier to cut than it is now. What would be the disadvantage? Well, you want to have as much diversity as you can. You want to have as many growing roots in the soil for as long as you can. So even though there wasn't a lot of green, there's still a little bit. There's still a little bit of green in this broom sedge. And if they're hungry enough, they'll eat it. They'll eat some of that broom sedge going after that plantain, right? But they don't like this in their face. But what did this do for the last 4 months? It kept the roots from dying back because it wasn't cut off, number one. And number two, every night, all of this vegetation caught dew. And so I had a lot more moisture available to my plants when we were having a dry season out here in the paddocks than I would have had I cut it off. I know this for a fact because my neighbors next door mow their pasture, and I did a comparison. I walked through mine and my boots got soaking wet. I mean, they're soaking wet today, but you know, we had rain last night. Different reason. I mean, I don't know if you can catch the shine on the water droplets on the grass. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And so I've decided that I want to start my grazing in this area. And so I'm going to do 12 by 12. This is what I'm proposing to start with. And I'm going to have to monitor it so I can match supply and demand, right? So I want to keep them pretty contained. I want them to eat, say, about the top third. It's a little harder when you have sheep, and it's a little bit harder still when you only have a couple of sheep to get the real even graze or the kind of a density impact that you want. But I'm going to keep them in about a 12 by 12 and then move them from one paddock to the other, whether they're moved once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day. I'll just have to play that by ear for now. Why am I making such a big deal of it? Well, let me walk over here and let me show you something. Now, if any of you were watching some of my videos earlier in the summer, when I had the sheep set up down here, I had them graze this, and I deliberately had them overgraze. I have not weed-eated this area. But if you come in and you look, you can see there's lots of brown. There's lots of warm season grass that got eaten way back. It's not real tall and super stemmy like it is right there. And that was part of the reason for that experiment. I wanted to see what they would do with the grass if I could get them to go ahead and eat the grass instead of just all the forbs and the plantain in between. And then how am I going to make sure that they don't overgraze the plantain so there's none next spring? Well, they may have, but they have not been on this ground for 6 months. And so we've got a good little diversity in here in between my chunks of fescue and the other warm seasons. Now there's some broom sedge right there, but there's a lot of almost bare ground. This just got scratched up yesterday by the chickens. Okay, so, but when you look, so we've just walked down right up here near the perimeter fence, and I'm going to turn back around. When you look here, you get a totally different, quote-unquote, bird's eye view, but it's really just a waist-high view. This is that row of paddocks last summer that I overgrazed. Well, I did actually start to do a little bit of weed eating on this one. Not much. But do you see a difference between looking down here and looking down here? It's called impact. And the impact of the hooves and the saliva and the manure and the urine is gonna revitalize the ecology in the soil, the bacteria and the fungi, and that's gonna make the soil less attractive, and over time we'll get rid of most of the broom sedge. Now, am I worried about these other warm season grasses? No, I want them in here. Why? Because in the middle of the summer here in Tennessee in July, the fescue is unpalatable for the sheep. They're not going to eat that fescue in July, August. They're going to eat this stuff. And so you want, hey man, you can't have sweet and sour pork if you don't have sweet and sour, right? So you want warm season and cool season grasses. So that's where we're at, gang. So I'm going to set them up in this section first. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish weed eating this row here. I am not going to weed eat this. Why? Because they've not been on the property for a while. I don't want to have a problem with retraining them to poly braid. So if the paddock right next door looks pretty bad, they're not going to want to jump the fence and go out into that area. If they decide to jump the fence and go over this way, well, there's only that one section. The rest is all chicken scratch. And they're totally contained because they're basically surrounded by fencing that they're not going to want to go through. So I'm not going to weed eat this paddock until they're on their last day here, or their last move here, and then I'll come through and weed eat this one. In the meantime, I'm going to get this done, and I'm going to work on some of the stemmy stuff over near the semi and up a little bit higher, so it won't be quite as attractive for them. So those are my thought processes. I'm real pleased with this experiment with pushing them a little bit, but you really have to pay attention. And I'm not going to be doing that in that section again. Next time I may move over here, or I may move over here. It all kind of depends on what needs to be done next. And a lot of times I just do things based on, well, do you want me to do this, or this, and then pray about it and see where the Lord leads me. So it's cold, it's wet, my hands are freezing, and I gotta get back to work. So with that, gang, I will wish you blessings for the day, and whatever you do, just keep chasing the dream.